I get it, you're staring at a dozen Pilates reformer ads, and every one of them promises a studio-level workout at home, but you've already spent enough on gear that didn't live up to the hype. You're wondering if this oak-finished machine is the one that will actually give you the range of motion you need without turning your living room into a cramped obstacle course, and if it's worth the price tag for the kind of routine you plan to run. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's walk through what you'll really experience when you pull this thing out of the box, and why that matters before you click Add to Cart. First off, the biggest question most people ask is whether a wooden reformer can hold up to the same daily whereas the metal frames you see in commercial studios. The FitDav's oak model uses a solid hardwood frame that feels substantial as soon as you set it down. In practice, that translates to a stable platform for both gentle stretches and more aggressive spring-loaded sequences. I've seen people set it up on a hardwood floor, and after a month of twice-daily 45-minute sessions, the joints still feel tight, not from the machine wobbling, but from the user's own muscles. That steadiness is the kind of hidden value you don't see in a spec sheet. It lets you focus on form instead of worrying whether the carriage will drift. The real test, though, is how the accessories integrate into a normal routine. The package comes with a jump board, a sitting box, a Pilates ring, a block, a non-slip mat, hand loops, safety strap, wool strap, and a yoga stick. Most beginners think more accessories equals more complexity, but in daily use they actually streamline transitions. For example, if you're doing a classic footwork series, you can slide the jump board on for a cardio-boosted segment without having to remount anything. Just click it in place, and you're ready. The sitting box folds out when you need a seated roll-up or a Pilates saw, then tucks away neatly under the carriage, keeping the floor clear for a yoga flow later in the session. I've watched a client switch from a reformer leg press directly into a seated spine twist using the same box, and the only time they fumbled was when the safety strap was left loose. A quick habit of snapping it back can solve that. If you're a seasoned practitioner who already owns a mat and a few props, the inclusion of a Pilates ring and block might feel redundant. However, for anyone building a home studio from scratch, having those pieces pre-matched to the carriage's dimensions saves you the guesswork of buying a ring that's too small or a block that doesn't sit flush. In a real-world scenario, imagine you're guiding a friend through a beginner's class in your garage. You pull the ring for a squeezing exercise, hand it over, and it fits perfectly in the hand loops without any awkward adjustments. That kind of plug-and-play convenience reduces setup time and keeps the momentum of the workout high. Now, let's talk about the spring system, which is often the make-or-break factor for a reformer. The FitDav's model uses a two-er system, essentially two stacked springs that can be combined for a wider resistance range. The downside is that the springs are housed in a metal cage that you have to open to adjust tension. If you're looking for a quick, on-the-fly change like you'd get with a digital resistance knob, you'll need to pause, unscrew a small lever, and reposition the springs. For most home users who follow a set routine, that's a minor inconvenience. But if you plan to sprint through a series of varying intensities in a single session, the extra steps might interrupt flow. In my observations, people who schedule a dedicated warm-up, main set, and cool-down find the adjustment time perfectly acceptable, while those who like to mix it up mid-workout tend to favor a reformer with a more instantaneous resistance style. Space is another hidden trade-off. The oak frame is aesthetically pleasing. Think a piece of furniture rather than gym equipment, but it does sit a little deeper than a typical steel frame because of the wooden legs. In a cramped apartment, you'll need at least a 3-foot clearance behind the carriage to let it slide fully without hitting a wall. If you're hoping to tuck it against a bookshelf, you'll quickly discover the swing arc is longer than you anticipated. On the flip side, the wooden finish blends well with a living room decor, so you won't feel like you've turned the room into a gym. For anyone who values both function and style, that compromise can be a win. So who should actually buy this reformer? If you're a beginner to intermediate practitioner who wants a reliable, full-body platform that can double as a piece of decor, this is a solid match. The built-in accessories let you run a complete class footwork, long spine stretch, arm series, and even a cardio burst with the jump board without hunting for extra.